Alcoholics Anonymous was founded in 1935 by two friends from Akron, Ohio, designed to help alcoholics achieve sobriety. HATTheatre brings the story of Dr. Bob Smith and Bill Wilson to the stage this month as part of their Acts of Faith Festival.
We'll enjoy a scene in just a couple of minutes. First, we're talking with the director, Scott Wichman, and Gray Garrett, who plays Lois, Bill Wilson's wife, about this latest offering, Bill W. and Dr. Bob. It's great to see both of you today.
It's good to be back.
Welcome back.
Welcome. Scott, you're known for your comedy, and I'm guessing this isn't a comedy.
Well, it definitely has moments of levity in it, but it's a very human story. Chris Hester, who plays Bill W., Bill Wilson, brought the script to HATTheatre and was really interested in telling the story, and he asked me to take a look at it, and I thought this is a great story to tell through the Acts of Faith Festival, and so they accepted me as a director, and I think I'm just having a wonderful time.
It's interesting in reading the synopsis. I'm not familiar with the history of how Alcoholics Anonymous formed, but humanizing this story and bringing that to people. What is it like? I didn't realize the role that the wives played, Gray, and you're taking on the role of Lois.
I really am enjoying this project. I think that just as important as it is for the addiction or the person who's addicted to find recovery, it's also important for people involved in relationships with addicts to find support as well. And I think that's a really important part of this story.
Yeah, without the family support, obviously,
of course,
it's not going to work. I'm going to show my age here, and Cheryl Miller reminded me there was a movie about this made right here in Richmond, and I remember James Garner came, and Cheryl told me it was James Woods.
Woods, yeah, and I remember seeing some scenes from. It was before I came to Richmond, but I remember seeing the Science Museum of Virginia doubled as a train station, and so there's a history that Richmond has with this story. So if people like the film, my name is Bill W. Hopefully they'll come out to HATTheatre and see the same story told by a really tight ensemble of 6 actors. We have obviously the 2 gentlemen that play the 2 leads. We have some incredible actresses that play their wives. And then we have 2 very versatile sort of Swiss Army knife actors who play all of the other people in their story. So it's very theatrical. It takes advantage of this theatrical medium it's very simply told, just like about 6 chairs. And really the meat of the story is in the relationships, and so that's something we've really tried to mine.
First of all, only a creative could use the adjective Swiss Army knife to describe versatility. It took me a second to wrap my mind around that. Speaking of...
She didn't hear anything you said after that.
We're going to have to talk about that again later.
Right.
Speaking of versatility or being Swiss Army knife, you, coming in, typically we see you in a starring role or in a main role. Talk us through balancing creatively, taking that role in as director and bringing this to life.
Well, coming at something like this from an acting perspective, especially in a small theater like HATTheatre, which is out in the West End, it's really a gem in the Richmond area. Coming from the acting perspective and working with a great group of actors, I feel like it's important to know the struggles that they go through and being able to identify with any of the issues that they might have or questions. And so really I try to be almost like a 7th cast member, almost like a player coach type of situation where you're able to understand their perspective and just step outside and give reassurance and tell them that everything they're doing, big picture, is really working. So.
I have a question for you. Him as a duct tape of a director, how's he holding the whole cast together?
Oh my gosh, as he was just saying, his perspective, because he is such a talented actor as well, it's like we speak the same language that sometimes you don't always have with a director. And I feel like, in a way, even though our rehearsal process has been very short, 3 weeks?
It's like about 3.5 weeks.
Yeah, 3.5
it's a real
weeks.
Tight. Yeah.
But we've been able to cover so much ground just because it's like, yes, I understand completely where you're coming from. When you say that sentence, I understand that because of the training that I think goes into us as human beings, as actors. So it's really been wonderful.
Yeah, and it's a really fun group of people, and it's a really good story. And the other thing is that I really hope that if somebody comes in and sees it, or maybe if they have an issue themselves, or if maybe they have a family member, I think the most important thing that the 2 title characters and these 2 gentlemen do as their relationship is formed is they let people know that you're not alone. And that is the genesis of what made this organization, what makes this fellowship so transformative. And it's still helping people today. And so it's our contribution to the Acts of Faith Festival, and I think it's a really, really timely and important one.
That's a great perspective, and even in that synopsis of their two personalities shows the diversity of how this disease impacts so many different people, and you'll identify with that.
They were two very different gentlemen. One was an ambitious stockbroker, one was a doctor suffering from crippling anxiety, and somehow fate brought them both together to tell this story. So
Thanks for being with us.
Thanks very much for having us.
Well, the curtain rises on HATTheatre's latest production, Bill W. and Dr. Bob, this Friday, February 10th at 8 p.m. with continued performances through Saturday, February 25th. There will be a talk back with the cast and director on Saturday, February 11th. All shows will be held at their home location, 1124 West Briar Drive.
Right there in the West End. We'll post a link on our website by later today at WTVR.com/VTM, and we'll enjoy a scene when Virginia This Morning returns.